What's up guys, welcome back to Fancy Goldfish Fanatics. Today's video is a slightly different one. As you can see behind me, we have a marine tank, something we don't usually feature on the channel. But I thought it might be interesting to try something new, maybe a slightly different video, and see what you guys think at home. Now, some of you may know I do have an aquarium and pond installation and maintenance company based in Surrey, which for our international viewers is just to the south of London in the United Kingdom. Now, this is actually one of my customers' aquariums, and as you can see, it is a fully fledged reef tank. And I thought in today's video we would do a little walk around tour of this aquarium, have a look at the fish, the corals, and also the filtration system. Now, yes, it is different from Fancy Goldfish, but some of you guys at home may not know anything about marine aquariums, and you might find it a little bit interesting and might even be able to apply a few of the techniques used in this system, maybe to your Fancy Goldfish. Now, I always find it's really good to look at multiple systems and not just sort of pinhole yourself down in, let's say, Fancy Goldfish. When you actually open your eyes and open your mind to the other side of fish keeping, be it tropical fish, marine fish, cold water, salt water, etc., you actually learn about and find out different techniques that people use to keep their aquariums, and also learn something maybe about water quality or filtration, etc. So first off, let's start off with the display tank, talk a little bit about what's running this aquarium, and then we can have a look at the inhabitants within it. So first up, you can see we have two AI primes above the aquarium. Now on my tank, I use the exact same lighting system, but it is just the larger version, which is the AI Hydra 52 HDs, and these are the newer version. These are the AI Prime 16 HDs, I believe. Now you can see we have a mesh cover on top of the tank, so that actually stops any of the fish from jumping out of the aquarium, and it also helps a little bit with evaporation, but you do get quite a lot of evaporation with an open top tank. Now the tank and stand is actually made by Waterbox Aquariums, and the display holds approximately 200 to 220 litres. We also have the stand here, which has two opening doors, which is going to reveal the sump underneath. Now before we head down into the sump and take a close look at that, let's talk about the other equipment that is running in the display tank. Now we have two AI Nero 3s, I believe they are. These are wave makers creating current and creating flow around the aquarium. Now with our Fancy Goldfish, we want to keep flow and current to a minimum, but in the reef tank, kind of on the opposite. All of this current is pushing round, getting food to the corals, and it's providing that more natural environment for the reef fish and the inhabitants within this aquarium. So we've looked at the equipment running the display tank. Let's have a look now at the sump and see what equipment is down there.
A few moments later.
So now we've looked at the display, let's take a look at the sump. So we've got two doors on this water box system. Now I haven't got any light to run on the sump, so it's a little bit dark in there, but I will point out everything and all the different parts to the system. So first off, the water actually runs down through the display tank and into the sump. Now many of you guys at home may or may not know what a sump filter is, but I will briefly talk over how this system works. Now this water travels down the back of the tank through two pipes. Now one pipe is the emergency overflow, and the other is a full siphon drain that takes the majority of the flow down into the sump section. Once the water reaches down into this section, it goes through a Innovatec roller filter, or otherwise known as a filter mat or a filter roller. Now this is essentially like a large toilet roll that the water runs through. It takes out all of the fine debris and fine waste within the water column, and it makes your aquarium water crystal clear. Now we don't use these on goldfish tanks or really tropical tanks, and mainly because those fish produce a huge amount of waste, and you'd probably be going through a roll of this every week, if not quicker. But this roll actually lasts around 2 to 3 months on this setup. The water then flows down into the first chamber. Now the first chamber has a titanium heater which is run on a thermostatic controller, which is actually in a cabinet. You can just see here, and then it runs into this refugium. Now for those of you that don't know what a refugium is, it is a chamber or section within your sump system that holds macroalgae. Now this macroalgae removes nitrates, phosphates and nutrients from your water. It also has many other benefits to it. It is a home for live foods to live in, like copepods and amphipods. They can live in that area. Sometimes they get pumped up into the display and they are food for your fish. It also helps to stabilize the pH with the uptake of carbon dioxide and the addition of oxygen to your aquarium. Now you'll see we have another AI light here, which is actually the refugium light, and this is lit in the nighttime. So the refugium turns on at night, which obviously the plants go through their photosynthesis stage, and that helps to keep the pH level and the pH stable within the nighttime when the display lights are turned off. Now there are other benefits, but I won't go into too much detail on that in this video. The water then overflows the sump section over this weir and into the next chamber. In this chamber, as you can see, we have this big filter here. Now this is actually a protein skimmer. You can use these on fresh water, but they are used very, very rarely. Essentially what it does, it sucks water and air into this skimmer section here. This combines that, and the fine particles of air produced cling on to any DOCs, otherwise known as dissolved organic compounds or dissolved organic carbons, within the water. They cling to the bubbles, rise to the top, the bubbles burst, and then it causes a skimmate to be collected in this collection cup, which you can then take out and rinse out once a week. So this is really good at removing dissolved organic waste within the water that a physical filtration system like sponges or filter matting or the filter roller simply cannot catch. The water goes out of that, hits a bag of activated carbon, which further polishes the water, and then it flows back into the final section where we have our return pump that pumps the water back up to the display tank, and then the system can rotate the water through from the display to the sump and the sump to the display. Now there's also this tank here. This is an auto top-up chamber, and in this system it needs topping up approximately every 4 days as the water evaporates through the mesh lid. This tops it back up to keep that salinity stable, because obviously as the water evaporates, the salt and any elements stay within the water, become more concentrated, and without the auto top up, those levels would slowly rise and the level of water within the system would slowly decrease with that evaporation. Now we also have a Dosa system on here which adds different elements. This tank is actually running on a Triton system, and that is actually located just in this cabinet to the left. So let's have a quick look at that. So as you can see here, we have the Dostronic by Neptune Labs, and this is actually a dosing pump. So if I just open it up here, you can see we have these peristaltic pumps within here. So we've got 5 pumps, but it's currently using 4 on this system. We're actually running the Triton method on this tank. We've got 4 dosing containers. This is adding different elements that the corals require to grow their skeletons and get larger in the tank, and it also replenishes these as the corals absorb it. Currently we're running about 4 mil on every single pump, which is dosing into this system. But quite simple on this cabinet, we've just got the Dosa, and then we've got a few bits, like we've got some Salifert test kits and just a few bits and pieces that we use for this aquarium. So that's it on the Dosa and the Sump. Let's go and head up to the display tank and take a look at the amazing inhabitants we have in this system. Now the tank may look very, very blue, and you're probably not seeing its true colors. I've also shut the blinds behind me to reduce any glare that we get on the tank, but I will overlay some shots on this video and you'll be able to see the corals in a little bit of a better color, as I have an orange filter that I can put over the camera when taking the close-up shots. Now we have a huge range of corals within this system. We've got soft corals, we've got hard corals, and we've also got LPS corals. Now at the top we've got a Euphilia garden, and these consist of some hammers, frog spawns, and we also have a bubble coral. Then just on this island here, we have a few torch corals. We've got a few soft corals littered throughout the rockscape. We've got a really nice elegance down the bottom and a couple of really cool toadstools. Now all of these cohabit together, but certain corals, if you do put them next to each other, they will fight and they will sting each other. Now I could go into massive amounts of depth on all of the corals and all of the different animals within this system, but I'm going to keep it quite surface level for this video, just to show you how this tank runs and just to show you all of the different animals, but not go into too much detail. Now we've also got some invertebrates. We've got a cleaner shrimp. We also have a peppermint shrimp hidden somewhere within the tank. We've got a conch down here, and we have a selection of different snails and hermit crabs, which help to keep the aquarium clean. Now these are eating any leftover food, any dirt and detritus. The conch is helping to turn over the sand, keep it nice and white, and keep everything looking nice and pristine. The snails help to keep the glass a little bit clean, similar to a pleco in the freshwater systems that we keep. Obviously they don't do an amazing job, but they definitely do help ever so slightly to reduce that glass cleaning maintenance down. Now you will also notice that the rocks and the back of the tank is covered in a purple, and this is actually an algae. So this is actually a form of algae, really pretty. Maybe I guess you could say similar to fancy goldfish hobbyists trying to grow the green carpet algae. Marine fish keepers really try to grow the purple coralline algae. Now this shows that the tank is nice and mature. We have a really nice layer of coralline algae all over the back and the rockscape, and believe it or not, this tank is actually under 12 months old. Now I set this tank up around 12 months ago with the owner of this aquarium, and he maintains it a little bit and I also maintain it as well, so it's a little bit of 50-50, but the corals are doing really well, using up those nutrients, and they've grown at an astonishing rate. Now finally, moving on to the fish, we have a small selection of fish in this tank. We don't have too many, but generally if you're keeping a reef tank, you want to keep those nutrients nice and low. So generally you don't put too many fish in a reef aquarium unless you've got some mega sump or mega filtration going on. Now the owner is definitely going to add a few more fish to the system. We've got a really nice male angel at the top. We've got a leopard wrasse, a coral beauty, a red velvet fairy wrasse, and also an exquisite wrasse as well. Now a few other options I think they are considering is a yellow tang, a fox-faced rabbit fish, and also a goby, because there is actually a pistol shrimp hidden in here somewhere, and the goby will pair up with that. The pistol shrimp will dig the holes for the goby, and the goby will protect the pistol shrimp because they do not have very good eyesight. But that is really it on this aquarium. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode, something a little bit different, maybe something not to your fancy, but maybe it's tweaked some of you guys' interest. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you'd like me to do a few more videos like this, mainly focused on the fancy goldfish, but maybe chuck in the occasional different video, then let me know down in the comment section below. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you all for watching. Remember to keep those water changes up, and happy fish keeping.